Good afternoon. I don't know who paid for the lunch, but it did taste good, so I liked it. Coming to the stage, I don't want to take much time. I'm not the best person to interview anybody, but it could not have been better to hear one of a very great keynote speech yesterday during the dinner from Clarence Seedorf from the Black Impact Foundation. And before Clarence leaves today, we decided to have a conversation about Africa, about the Black diaspora, energy, and life lessons that we can learn. And we would be having a free dialogue, and I think we could share some questions about ourselves, our humanity. And honestly, I think most of you are tired of listening to gas fields, oil fields, and I bet you Ikaba is already tired of asking all those questions, so she probably wants to be inspired as well, right? So, Mr. Seedorf, would you mind please coming up? What is comfortable, here or here? I'm a fat guy, so I might fall on sitting on this thing, you know.
Where you want it.
Come on, they put me up on an athlete. Like, who's the fat guy? Like, you know. Clarence, we will get a little bit to it. How do you feel in Cape Town?
I feel home, that's for sure. Home. Every time we touch the continent, it's a great feeling. So it has been 11 years now since the World Cup. I was here for a month.
And I remember that. And during the World Cup, I was digging in, and I saw you with this photo with this South African hero, Nelson Mandela. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I was working with BBC for the month as a pundit. I was still playing. Actually, I should have been playing that World Cup, but I wasn't
Why were you not playing? Were you that bad?
I don't know, but there was some reason for me not to be called by the Dutch national team, which is okay. I had a different experience. I had my month with BBC here in Cape Town, wonderful month, and then we did a special on Robben Island, where I went and was guided by one of the former prisoners as well, which blew me away, because that is something particular, very heavy to do. If you can imagine, somebody has been there for 10 years plus and being the guide and telling the people, you know, the tourists, how things were, and then, you know, entering that cell where Madiba was for 18 years. I believe anybody that has a little bit of heart would really feel something strong in that moment. And for me, it wasn't different. I met him before, of course. Met him a few times before. Had some amazing moments. I'm very privileged and honored to have had those moments with him. And the visit on Robben Island was really...
When you met him, did he do a high five or a handshake? Like, how was that?
It was like this. He didn't need really to do much. Take a seat. And it was really the energy. Believe me, if you ask me how was the conversation, it was really about his energy and everything that comes with the story of Nelson Mandela and the people that have fought so hard to make things better for us today. So yeah, Robben Island was a special moment, moment of acknowledgement, moment of also peace in a certain way, because it's part of the past now. And actually today we did some nice shootings, not on Robben Island, but we are preparing something nice for the Black Impact Summit coming up on December 8th.
You just mentioned the Black Impact Summit. What is that?
So the Black Impact Summit is a first project of Black Impact Foundation that was founded now almost a year ago as you well know. We started this foundation based on really traveling around the world, life experience, and looking around what is happening with the people from African descent. Our black community has and still is suffering a lot in many places in the world. But we also have a lot of people of excellence in all sectors of society, and I think that's the part that I really got inspired by and said, it's time for us to focus on ourselves, focus on our resources, human capital, and of course also the amazing specialists and businessmen, businesswomen, young talents that we have around the world. And there was one specific point that was the focus to really initiate all of this, and that was that we are not connected. We don't know from each other. I mean, when we met, it was like we knew each other for years, but the fact is that, 2 years has only passed by. And look what you have achieved, what you've done, and so we know many of our people around the globe that have amazing stories.
I'm still trying to get Leonzo to pay my money he owes me, so I don't know if I've achieved anything.
So, I mean, we came up with a very strong vision and a strong mission is to build our community worldwide, to connect our people in order to be an added value everywhere in the world for the society, like other communities have. It's very inclusive, but with a very specific focus on our people.
I mean, I like you talking about that in the energy sector where most of the people here are involved. There is a big dialogue right now around ESG, climate change, and doing this transition. And I think nobody here, besides many of the guys here who've been fired on their jobs every other week, but you have to live, and this is personal, a life in transition, whether it is changing teams, changing locations, changing countries, changing everything. What would you tell us on this life in transition and how you cope and how you deal with the change? Or are we just scared of change in energy? Or how do we see it?
Well, it's a wonderful question, NJ. I think that with this question you go to the core, I believe, of what has been my success factor, which was not so much playing the ball on the pitch.
Come on, 3 Champions Leagues?
4.
4.
4.
Guy corrects
and
me.
Actually 5. The story I will tell shortly. I mean, I played 6 out of 12 matches with Real Madrid. Then I left Real Madrid in the winter period, and then Madrid won.
But where did you win 4 Champions League? I thought it was only Ajax.
2 with Milan.
2 with Milan.
1 with Real Madrid and 1 with Ajax.
Ajax.
Yeah.
So 4.
4.
And number
4
5
now.
was hanging out with me.
No, it is really a key question because it's true. We have, as players, athletes, the possibility to travel the world, but you change teams, you change country, you change continent, and the main factor that will maintain you on top of your game is if you're capable to adapt. Adaptation to a new environment, adaptation to a new culture, where we go into food, we go into people's behavior, we go into way of talking, the way of communicating, and those who want to bring, their way of doing things everywhere they go will hit their head very hard. You have to be flexible, maintaining your own, identity. I've never lost myself in that sense, but you're speaking the languages, the interest in the culture where you go, and we don't really have a choice many times. I mean, I was maybe one of those who were fortunate enough to make the choice where to go. But many don't have that choice and are catapulted in certain places of the world, and either you adapt or you're done. And we have seen many who would go just down, even top players that had to leave. A certain point, the club didn't want them anymore or whatever reason. And they go from Italy to Spain, still in another big club, and they would not perform anymore the same they were performing before because of that lack of capacity to adapt to a new situation, your new role. You may not be the main player anymore. There are many other main players. So if we translate this back into business and in your environment, it's at the end more or less the same, right? You find competitors that are maybe at that point more important, more advanced, more loved by that specific environment, and then you need to be humble and build your way back up. And as I said, in order to maintain that level, either you adapt or you will just be put aside. And that is the nature of top sports. And that is the nature of, the top athletes, the mentality to really make that specific choice and create that capacity to adapt to different situations.
After that adaptation, you win. What keeps you going? Why are you doing this?
Well, winning is like a drug, positive drug. You always want more.
Not. You didn't tell me it was crack, right?
No.
You didn't.
We don't do that stuff, no. But I can tell you,
we don't do it before.
No, we don't do it before.
Trust me, you have a lot of lawyers here. It's confidential. We're not going to tell anybody.
No, it's really an amazing motivator. But as I said yesterday, the winning has to come with something. And when you see that winning, and I believe for me at least, that moment of celebration with all the people, we win the Champions League, we come back to Italy, for example, and then you see all these millions of people, celebrating, being happy. I mean, for months and months, it enlightened their day. That has always been impactful to me. I've had eyes for those things. It was because it takes us maybe a month and a half, and then we're training again for the next season. So how long really can you celebrate a victory? But it's really what that victory has done for so many people who are watching and so many people who have worked, hard behind the scenes to make things happen. And I believe that, as at that point we are the leading and the main focus, but we also know that behind the scenes are many people who are making it happen for us.
I have been asked to ask you this question. You decided to come into Africa and apparently were the first black coach from the diaspora to coach an African team in the African Nations Cup. And then you walk right into this room, you win a match, and for some reason, you start dancing an African. I would not ask you to do that dance here. And that was as coach of Cameroon. What was that dance about, and how did that get you into doing that? And what was that moment, besides just the field, dealing with the young people and the kids and really trying to get them at their best, especially going to the Africa Cup with Cameroon?
Yeah, I mean, that was an amazing celebration. As I said, it was coming home. Yeah, I was born in Suriname, for those who don't know. And Suriname has, I think, strong roots related to the West Coast. And when we came back, together with Patrick Kluivert, my brother, who I know since we were 10, and I asked him to join me on this journey, it was immediate yes, let's go and add value. We celebrated that day. We qualified for the African Nation Cup, and they pulled me in. They didn't have to push. I was happy to go and dance. And it was natural. I mean, as I said, the rhythm that we have in Suriname comes from somewhere. And
that's right.
And so it was not a strange dance. It was not a strange feeling to be part of that. And I will absolutely do it again. It was the most amazing feeling to be with those young guys and also inspire them, because history is not familiar with everybody. they don't know so much about their own country and what happened. And I want to tell you this story. I don't think we shared that. I even did some meditation with the team. I've never, in 24 years of my career, no coach have ever proposed to do a meditation. But one of the coaches that I really looked up
It's
to was Phil
meditation,
Jackson.
yoga. I don't do that kind of
meditation is really just connecting with your own self, and then you have different forms. But if you want to do yoga, I mean, you're most welcome.
No. Look at this. That's not working.
So, and that meditation was specifically really to reconnect them for who do you play for. When we started to speak with the team, one of our first sessions, I told them, we have won everything. We don't need to win more to show our worth. But we're here because we want to inspire those who are watching us. And you as players are key for that. So we used some of those moments to guide them through that trip from Africa to South America in the boat. How were they sleeping? How were our ancestors sleeping all those months? And so we put them exactly how they were eventually sleeping on the ground, sitting on the ground, head against each other, and then we would do that guided meditation.
These prima donnas, football players, they were doing that?
Amazing, and they loved it. Because you connect with what is the essence of what we're doing. I mean, everything else, either you're connected or you think you lose a lot of time. As I said yesterday, we're going to make some more billions and trillions, and then at the end of your life, you're going to look back and say, okay, but what is the impact that I made in the life of others? Because that is where we get our happiness, right? And when we can really make contribution to the life of others. Then, of course, I want to win trophies, and we want to make the billions, and we want to become successful in what we do. But if it doesn't come with purpose, it's an empty cup. And that is what I always try to remember myself in the things that we're doing.
You have made a big part of Black Impact Foundation to let women play a bigger role. I was lucky to be in some meetings with you, and I saw Wilma, I saw Soul Sister Evelyn, and why is it so important that women play such a pivotal and leading role in all what it is your businesses and your foundation, bringing in so much? I mean, it's easy. You played in a guys' game. You could have easily brought the guys around. Like, what does that mean? And how do these guys in this room, how should they even be looking at that issue and even applying it in their businesses, like your own personal experience?
Yeah, well, we know, first of all, the foundation is not my foundation. It's really the foundation of the people. And we are just here to serve the people. I had a very clear view on the importance of bringing women in key positions for a very simple reason. If we make an assessment, men did a great job, because if we're here still having to solve problems, we need to make a change.
Can you fire Leoncio? Everything they've given him, he ran into the ground.
and this is obviously nothing personal, but this is really a generalization. But if we look at it, I think that fresh element and new insight can come from those areas where we have not tried yet. And I believe women have not gotten enough space in society to really shape things towards a better future. So I think it's an opportunity, as we would catch any opportunity to improve ourselves. We can see it in that simple way. And also, I really believe that women have that extra touch to things, that extra sensitivity, that extra what in combination, because I believe it's about the combination, is about supporting each other, that can be so powerful.
I'm going to let the audience have a discussion with you. I think you're tired of my question. But somebody, again, this is a gossip, somebody told me that you were in negotiations with a Premier League and a Spanish club on a possible. By the way, how old are you? In Africa, we don't tell our age, but you could lay it out. I wouldn't tell
I'm from
anybody.
76.
They have to do math. They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So a guy born 1976, and they told me about this idea, and it was actually leaked to me that there might be a chance you might be playing in some big league. Let me just leave it like that.
It's still just an idea, but we are keeping it quiet still.
So you're going to do a Roger Miller kind of thing?
No, Roger Miller has been unique. But what is his age, actually?
Do you guys have the same birth certificate?
No, Roger Miller has been and is an icon for the African football players and the African countries. He really shined the light on Africa in a very positive way, which is what we're going to do. I mean, my focus on Africa and connecting Africa with, the people that have been placed in other places in the world, and reconnect them back. There's so much to do, so much opportunity. We just need to be connected, and then I
want to ask you this, though, and this will be my last question. If there's anybody here who wants to participate in the Black Impact Summit, and I know they could get much information, are we going to be able, maybe from the chamber or through the African Energy Week, get information to share around with people here? Can we get a scoop sometime?
No, for sure. I mean, the 8th of December, we will have the Black Impact Summit. It will be held in Dubai for the first one in collaboration with a local company.
It's not Africa All Week in Dubai. It's Black Impact Summit. Okay, so let me clear
Black
that up.
Impact Summit. And everybody can participate. We want people to tune in. This is really a launching event for then around April to have a big event, a big summit where we can have physically, hopefully, more people participating. And we are putting this together to really become a yearly summit for a platform, an own platform for our people to come and speak and inspire and share knowledge, share their story, which is very important also to inspire the next generation, and also to be able to really interconnect, as I said before, our people from different parts of the world. So everybody's welcome. We will definitely welcome people to participate. It's going to be virtual, and we have 3 roundtables with very interesting people that can share the stories on entrepreneurship, on education and youth, and on women and youth empowerment. So these are the 3 main topics that we're going to touch for now, and then April we will have this big event where we're really going to start molding.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clarence Seedorf, put your hands together for my friend.
Thank you.
We would have a chance to take a few questions. He would have to leave because he's flying back today. He did everything to be here, but he's going on Emirates. So if you want him to stay longer, you give me a private jet. So I not keep him longer. But he has to be in Abu Dhabi tomorrow morning. But we'll open up for any questions from the audience before he leaves. You do not have to be an athlete to ask a question.
Any questions? Cool. Can you help?
Hello? Hi, Clarence. Thank you very much for sharing those insights. So business is a team sport. What business principles would you share that you've learned throughout your career? Obviously, competing at an elite level, so obviously you're looking at a multitude of corporate athletes in here. So what key principles would you say you would share with business people that are basically transcending business and sport?
See, that guy is smart. He asks better questions than I do.
Thank you for the question. I mean, I'm a businessman myself, so the transition that I had to make coming from a bubble into real life, has been very, very helpful to get that understanding and to make that connection. And I'm still actually working closely with a big corporate in Abu Dhabi. And I've seen a few things which you might recognize is that there's always something to do that will keep you going during the day. And what I've learned, in order to perform, I need to find a balance in my life. At the end, the better I take care of myself, the better I will perform. This is something I have not really seen in corporate. Especially the higher you go, it's like around the clock, and being available all the time and taking on new challenges, new opportunities, not being able to say no because somebody else will do something. So I think that is one thing. To maintain longevity in what you do, you have to take care of your health. You're a human being. There's no way around it. And I've seen people crush in these years that I've been working and running around in the business. And I would say that is one of the main things, is the first thing, because without our health, we cannot perform. And the second thing is, one of the main things is that there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, right? How do you recover from that? If there's not a process, and I'm not talking only for yourself, but also for your team, for the people that are working in the company, to create an environment where people can really balance that out. And it's better that as a leader from that company, you make sure they can recover from the stress that is put on them, again, because they will perform better. It's better for them to stay one day home than, or 2 days home than 1 month because they're sick. So I believe that these are two things that I've seen that in football on the highest level is a must. We spend more time on recovery, thinking about recovery, and thinking about traveling smartly than the training and the preparation for the match itself, because you need to create the right conditions.
I don't want you talking about recovery. Yeah, you're going to get my team asking for a week off next week. But I do agree, and there's another question here with Leonce here. I do agree, and on a personal side, I want to thank Clarence. 2 years ago when Clarence met me, I think, and I'm a fat guy, I was actually about 33 kilos heavier. And he actually took me for my first run in over 10 years, being a former athlete myself. And there was these videos of me and him running in Abu Dhabi together, and I could barely make it. And I think he was looking at me like, "You fat bastard," But then he started my journey towards getting health, and I really thank you for that. And I really thank you, because 6 months before I was in the hospital, and he really helped transform me into the new me. And you asked my wife how I performed, but I think he was better and everything. Leonce, go ahead.
Thank you, Clarence, for being here. By the way, NJ, all the bills have been paid, so I owe you nothing. Yeah, Clarence, someone told me that when you were playing at Milan AC, you were called a professor. So why is that? The professor.
I believe I was always there to explain things and try to support and try to help, those who were struggling more to maintain themselves. I always said, we need to support the weakest part of the chain, and in football it's the same thing. We had some players, when certain important matches would start coming, they would, not be as comfortable, and you try to give them some comfort, and probably had to do with those things. And I like to explain, like to talk, like to have the dialogue. Ever since, that the Dutch people are all about asking questions and having dialogue, so I think I got that part within me. And then when I went to Italy, I started using my hands more. I think it comes from there.
I have a question for you. last night you said 600 million African children not having access to electricity is actually unjust and is actually a crime. And I would like to know if the Black Impact Foundation is doing anything towards making poverty, energy poverty history by 2030?
He's here.
I love the question. I don't believe it's only kids, the 600 million, but it's more than 600 million. Yeah, we definitely will. We have an amazing board, and we have amazing advisors already on board, ambassadors, with a large network. Myself, when I was going around finally, because these last 2 years were very difficult to travel, and I had like 13, 14 countries in Africa on my agenda to go and make some state visits and meeting people and meeting, the kids in their schools, really to touch with my own hands as well what is happening, and to bring in very important companies, international companies that have the proper mindset to come, share, add value, and then create a win-win situation. And I believe that Black Impact Foundation will be able to create a lot of good synergies, business-wise as well, that can bring in sustainable development partners.
I would have the last one, and it's going to be a question which sometimes we call it the third angle of our world. I have seen you speak out a lot about issues from police brutality. You were one of the first people to speak about, which I think we have to pay attention to. But I think the role of Black coaches in football has not really done well. I'm not trying to say the energy industry we are doing well. I still think Blacks are still the last hired and the first fired in the energy industry, and we need to improve our industry better. But we're doing better than you guys in football, because I looked at it, I think they're like 2 Black guys who coaches. But what can we both do to really improve the role of Black women, Black men, to become in senior roles, in not just being coaches in football, but also in senior management? Because yes, we cannot just accept that Black men or Black women are not too smart to be coaches. They're so good, like you mastered the midfield and you won 4 Champions League. I don't think that these Black boys and Black girls cannot master the coaching talent to be able to coach at the highest level in whether it is European teams or African teams. Is that something we should even talk about, or I should just shut up?
No, actually, I support that. We need to get at a stage where there are equal opportunities for everybody. It's about equal opportunities, and who is in charge needs to go and find the best talent, full stop.
But it's the Rooney Rule, like in the United States,
Yeah.
They have the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
Is the Rooney Rule says when there is an opportunity, you got to interview a Black coach or something. Mm-hmm. And is the Rooney Rule necessary in football? Would it make sense that you don't just have these guys talking, because you also advise in FIFA, so you're part of the problem. So, so don't come here. But does it make sense? I was going to hold you accountable. You know me. Is the Rooney Rule advisable in football that when you have an opening, you should at least get 1 or 2 Black coaches interviewed in senior management positions or in football positions? Because it's not right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I was an advisor. I'm not, actually. I was close to be part of the organization a few years ago. Didn't work out because too many restrictions, compliance, and blah, blah, blah. So what you're saying is so
Was
important.
it Blatt I wanted to invite you?
No, actually.
Because that one is something.
No, it's there is good movement. Yeah, there are good intentions. People are a bit stuck on the top to understand how to implement, how to make this change happen. Rooney Rule is one of the ways. It's much more easier in NFL because it's in America. First of all, it's one country. Football is so big, it's really global, and it's a bit harder. Also, the mentality is different. The ownerships are different. Not every club is owned by somebody, so it's particular. But it's a good way to start. I wanted actually to say that I think it has to come now with laws, because it has to come from top down. This is something for me very easy. If there is a law that you have to do certain things, and we create a system that is also that there's some kind of accountability, because you can interview somebody and then okay, you don't do anything with it. But if that person track record or curriculum is better than another. I don't come with the right word here. Then another person, let's put it like this, simply. That person should be chosen, simply,
I would say
based
white
on merits.
person.
No, it's not about white only, because sometimes we have the women effect part as well. Because
Are we
in
going to see women's coaching like a male team? Is that possible?
that I don't know. I really don't care so much about football in that sense. I really care about what football can transcend to the people and how we can be a leading factor to who's watching us. Football will always exist, right? It's such a popular sport who are making themselves busy to make football better. I invite them, go, and this is something that I'm not so motivated for. I'm more motivated in changing certain rules that can really improve these type of situations, making sure that athletes after their career are prepared as well to really get into the transition phase, right? And what you said before about how can your industry or the football industry, it's a society, it's a problem of society. We're seeing that it's not happening yet. And my question is, what if we can apply some laws that can start protecting this to happen? Because to give you an idea, in football, all of a sudden they started and they came with a specific rule that until 14, 15 years old, the player is free to go. But from that moment, there will be a amount to be paid for whom has developed that player. And then if you come as a foreigner in that country, there are certain barriers that they've put in order for that youngsters of that country to grow in. So there are things that have been done to protect and also to stimulate the use of your own talent. It's not rocket science. It's really the will to implement these things and to start pushing the organizations, whether it's in football or in energy sector, or it's society overall. I was speaking with a 16-year-old group, like a school, and they were talking about getting interviewed. One of them had a Arab surname. He never got an interview, just because of his name, in Holland. And he was frustrated. So what can we do to change that is really applying some laws and making some rules on federal level as well.
I want to thank you so much. I don't think we have any. You see, George. Go ahead, George. You could use mine, and that would be the last question.
Thanks. Just a quick question, not a question. What would your advice be to the young kids of today? When you look at every corner, everybody wants to be a professional footballer, but not all of them could succeed. So what would your advice be to them? As in case they don't make it? Because, every kid wants his parents to buy him. The kids, they want to go to football training every day. You understand? So, please.
I understand. Thank you for the question.
He didn't make it in football, so he's trying to come.
Well, my advice is, first of all, more to the parents than the kids. Let the kids be the kids. Let them dream. And let them, follow their dream. We know the reality, but it's not necessary to tell them the reality when they're 5, 6, 7, 10 years old. Let them just go and see where they'll end up. It's more about the parents and the coaches. Those who need to be focused on making sure that they're getting education, because you never know what happens, as you said. They need to make sure they get the education, not only the scholastic one, academic one, also the life education, which is many times more important. So I invite to have certified coaches in the academies, in the after-school programs, certified educators. This should be the investment of any country, to make sure that those kids are, growing in a proper environment with the proper conditions. Then if they make it, fine, but we already know it's less than 1%. So, but we don't want to kill any dream, right? Because who is part of that less than 1%? That's what we don't know. So let them do their stuff.
Clarence, any final thoughts to an industry that is being hit on its back, and how to be resilient and keep moving, knowing that we are an industry that provides the energy that everybody needs? No matter how much shots we take in this industry, we still have to keep the lights on. We have to keep fuel in the car. We have to keep LNG, get LNG for industries to move. What would you say as your final thoughts to those people who work in this industry, whom they don't know what COP26 is, they don't know who Greta is, but they have to go out there and still do their job, not knowing about the uncertainties of tomorrow?
Yeah, thank you for that. First of all, it's been really an honor and a pleasure to be part of this amazing event, amazing people. I have deep respect for the challenges that you have to deal with, and I believe that creating a unified, competitive environment is very important. Again, in football, every club is doing their own thing, but then they have a league, a Lega, who is uniting, the common interest. And I believe that's how you create a healthy, competitive environment. And within that, to have this focus on, again, when the business plans are made, take into consideration how many people you will be impacting positively. And that is what I have to say in that sense.
I like the word impacting. Thank you so much for this. Executive Chairman of the Black Impacts Foundation. Thank you, Clarence. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.